In a remote area of Alberta, Canada, a wild horse's life hung in the balance when it became trapped in a treacherous mud hole. With no one around to help, it seemed like the horse's fate was sealed. But then, an unlikely hero emerged in the form of a local farmer, Darrell Glover. Join us on a journey of heart-stopping drama and heroic bravery as we witness Glover's daring rescue mission and the incredible bond that formed between him and the wild horse. A wild horse's struggle for survival. The rain had transformed the area in the province of Alberta, Canada, into a treacherous mudflat. It was in this unforgiving terrain that a wild horse found itself in deep trouble. The horse had galloped past the edge of the forest and landed in a huge mud hole, unable to free itself on its own. As the mud crept up its body, the horse panicked and tried to break free, but it only sank deeper. The horse's powerful hind legs were completely stuck in the mud, leaving it unable to move or free itself. The horse struggled for hours to pull itself out of the swamp, but it was futile, and it slowly started to give up hope. With few people in the area and night approaching, it seemed like the horse would perish slowly from hunger and exhaustion. It was a dire situation, and the horse needed help urgently. Darrell Glover's heroism. Just when all hope seemed lost for the horse, Darrell Glover, a local farmer, appeared at the edge of the forest. Darrell kept horses himself and was familiar with their nature. He was on a walk in the forest when he heard a strange noise and found the wild horse in distress. Darrell immediately realized the seriousness of the situation and decided to help the horse. He grabbed a rope and tried to free the horse on his own, but it was too heavy for him. Knowing that time was of the essence, he fed the horse some leftover food and grass nearby before rushing back to town to get help. The rescue operation. Darrell returned to the mud hole with members of his family and 2 all-terrain vehicles. They made a plan to use ratchet straps to attach to the horse and attempt to pull it out of the mud. It was a risky operation, and there were no guarantees that it would work. The horse had lost all its energy and seemed to understand that the humans were there to help. The SUVs began to pull the horse out, first gently, then with more force. The horse didn't show any sign of pain and seemed more intent on breaking free than anything else. After several attempts, the horse began to move. Darrell saw this as a positive sign, but he also knew they still had a long way to go. He jumped off his vehicle and repositioned the straps to the hindquarters of the horse. He made sure they were secure before climbing back onto the vehicle and beginning to pull. Miraculously, the horse began to rise inch by inch out of the swamp. Realizing that it was finally breaking free, the horse kicked its legs and pushed with all its might. Suddenly, it slipped out of the hole, and Darrell and his team untied the straps from the horse. They stripped the mud from its body, and people cheered that their actions were successful. A bond between human and animal. In a moment of unexpected tenderness, the wild horse turned and slowly walked towards Darrell. The horse lowered its huge head, met his eyes, and leaned forward as if to thank him for his kindness. Darrell was at a loss for words and simply reached out to stroke the magnificent animal's nose. It was as if human and animal had bonded and shared a beautiful, unspoken moment. Darrell fought back tears and felt a sense of pride in his chest. The wild horse then turned and galloped off to freedom, leaving Darrell and his team in awe of the miracle they had just witnessed. Darrell's rescue of the wild horse did not go unnoticed. News of his heroism spread throughout the community, and people came from far and wide to thank him for his bravery. But for Darrell, the most rewarding part of the experience was the bond he had formed with the wild horse. He couldn't stop thinking about the animal and would often visit the spot where he had rescued it, hoping to catch a glimpse of it in the wild. Over time, the horse started to recognize Darrell's voice and would often come running when it heard him. Darrell knew that he and the wild horse would share a special connection for the rest of their lives.